Of course, the last Red Sox game of the season didn't come without its own big news and big drama. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Red Seat Radio. My name is Corbin. It's officially day one without Red Sox baseball, and I gotta tell you, even bad baseball is better than no Red Sox baseball, but that doesn't mean we don't have anything to talk about, because for us, there was a lot of news that came out of the last day of the Red Sox season, including stars quitting, stars possibly getting surgery, and the Red Sox possibly re-signing a star. So, whole lot of stars to talk about in today's video, and that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to go over the latest Red Sox news and what it could mean for this 2025 team. Thank you all very much for clicking on the first official video of the offseason. Let's get into it. The first bit of news, honestly, really isn't all that impactful when it comes to the offseason, what the Sox are going to do. I just figured we should talk about it because there's been a lot of discourse on it on Twitter, and that is that Kenley Jansen essentially went home and packed up his bags with 3 games left of the 2024 season. He essentially quit on the Red Sox. His nameplate was removed from the clubhouse. Now, Alex Cora tells media it was his decision. He said, quote, "I told Kenley to go home. So if they're upset, i.e. his teammates, they should come to my office and ask me. We talked during the week. There's other stuff that's going on with Kenley too, but the manager decided for him, hey, we're out of it. So if you want to go home, you can go home." And he went home. The reason he had to clarify there is because an article from Sean McAdam of Mass Live came out where teammates didn't sound too pleased with Kenley Jansen's decision. One player said, quote, "I can't say I'm too surprised by the decision," and that he never really knew some of his teammates' names, specifically using the word aloof. Like I said, there was a lot of discord on this on the internet, especially on Twitter, and to be honest with you, I don't really care all that much about Kenley Jansen's decision to go home. Jared Carrabis had a really great take on Twitter that I really agree with. He said that it sounds like Cora said one of those, hey man, look, if you don't want to be here, you don't have to be here. And Kenley Jansen just said, oh, perfect, I'm going to leave then type situations, right? Where it was just sort of, look, dude, you don't want to be here, don't be here. And he just up and left. At the end of the day, yeah, is it the best way to leave a team? Absolutely not. But at the same time, too, there's always sort of been a bit of a rift between Kenley and the front office, mostly because, in all fairness to Kenley, he was promised something entirely different by Chaim Bloom than what Craig Breslow wanted to do in 2024, and I think that always rubbed him the wrong way. He had a bunch of comments about what this front office's decision and ways to go before the season started. Even during the season, he was having conversations about it. It was clear that Kenley was promised one thing and received another, so it makes sense he's not too happy with this team, and the Red Sox were never totally fully happy with Kenley either. They never publicly said anything about Kenley Jansen, but you have to assume having all that stuff coming from a all-star Hall of Fame closer probably isn't exactly good for relations with this club, and the assumption has always been that this was going to be Kenley's last season with the Red Sox, right? We always just assumed that Kenley Jansen was not coming back to the Red Sox outside of 2024. We knew that basically going into the 2023 season. I don't think anyone going into 23 was like, man, we should really lock up this Kenley guy through 25 and 26. The assumption was always that, hey, he was going to be here for 23, he was probably going to be here for 24, and then we were going to part ways. This kind of sucks. This is how his tenure with the Red Sox ends, but again, it's not really going to have a big impact on whether or not the Red Sox bring him back. It was always a foregone conclusion that they were sort of going to mutually split after this season, so I'm not too worried about what Kenley Jansen did in his last couple of days with the Red Sox. It sucks from a fan perspective to see a guy sort of just quit on a team like that, but at the same time, too, he definitely had his own reasons, and I'm not totally upset by this. At the end of the day, what does it really matter, right? It's 3 meaningless games at the end of the season. I don't really have a big opinion on this one way or the other. I'm sure you guys do, so let me know in the comments down below, and let's head on to our second news item. The second bit of news here absolutely could have a big impact on the trajectory of the 2025 offseason for the Sox, because Masataka Yoshida told reporters before the game yesterday that he may end up needing right shoulder surgery as we head into the offseason. Specifically, before the game, he told Carlos Yamazaki of the Tokyo Sports Press that Masa may have right shoulder surgery soon. Masa clarified after the game yesterday that he had been feeling something in his shoulder when he was swinging missing up at the plate this entire year. Now that the season is done, he's looking to get an MRI on his shoulder likely tomorrow to see what the next step should be. honestly, I would be kind of surprised if this ended in a surgery, right? Rafael Devers appeared to be in much more physical discomfort than Masa has this season. Now, obviously, he could be hiding it a lot better than Rafi could, and I'm not going to just make assumptions that his injury is less than Rafael Devers, but Rafi had been dealing with something all season as well, and he just needed rest and rehabilitation. If Masa only needs that, this isn't really a huge story point for the Red Sox. However, again, it's interesting to me that surgery has been flat out put on the table here. Masa even went as far to say that this was a reason why the Red Sox didn't want to play him on the field, saying that it was affecting his throwing shoulder to the point where he didn't really feel as though he could throw long distances on the outfield. Now, Alex Cora said, well, wait a second here. No, that's not the reason we were DHing him this year. The reason we were DHing him this year is because we felt as though we had better defensive alignments with him at DH. So I don't really know where that story is going, but either way, this could have a big impact on Masataka because Masa has been sort of at the forefront already as someone who could get moved this offseason because of what it does for that DH position with the Red Sox. Now, I'm not going to go super in depth as to what it could mean if the Red Sox trade Masa because we have a full video on that on this channel if you want to check it out. But outside of that, right now, it's going to be difficult to trade Masataka Yoshida. He's got a big contract attached to him. He can really only do one thing, and that is hit. If he ends up getting that shoulder surgery, makes it next to impossible to move him, which means if the Red Sox were trying to move him this offseason, it could end up putting the Red Sox in a really interesting spot because now they have to go about it a different way. Craig Breslow has really highlighted balancing out this lineup, trying to get some of these younger players into this everyday lineup, and that DH role could have been a big part of that. Without Masataka Yoshida being able to be moved, that's going to totally change things for this Red Sox team. Now, again, it's not guaranteed that he's going to get surgery. In all honesty, I'm not a doctor. I don't have a professional medical opinion. I'm just going to go ahead and guess that it's probably going to end up just simply being rest and rehabilitation. But if it is surgery, not only does it sort of screw up a lot of what the Red Sox could be trying to do this offseason, it also could mean that even with the screw up, the Red Sox end up with Masataka Yoshida on the bench for the first couple of months of this season. Depending on when he gets his surgery, he could be out for a significant period of time here. The last person we saw with shoulder surgery was Trevor Story, and it took him essentially 5 months to get back, and that's really, really fast. Every single news article and report that we got from Trevor Story's rehab was that he was way ahead of the curve, right? The normal time to come back is 6 to 8 months. That would put Masa not being able to resume baseball activities realistically until March, which probably means we wouldn't see him until mid to late April. So either way, if Masa does end up getting surgery, it really sort of throws the Red Sox off here, and that could have a really big impact on what they're trying to do this offseason. Now, I don't know if their plan was to trade Masa this offseason, but this certainly does not help when you're talking about trade negotiations. Now, the first thing I did see from fans was, well, is he sort of not fabricating this? I'm sure there is an issue, but is he playing this up to sort of ensure that he's here next season? Or also maybe give an excuse as to why he wasn't played on the field if he does end up getting traded, right? It's interesting to me that he came out and very specifically said this was a big reason why I didn't play on the field this offseason, despite Alex Cora saying, well, wait a second, that's not entirely true. It definitely could plant the seed in teams' minds that, hey, maybe this guy could be an everyday outfielder if he's healthy and if he gets the help he needs. So I'm curious if that's part of the angle as well. But either way, not exactly great news for the Red Sox. And if he does end up needing surgery, it could drastically change everything. But we do have one more news item to get to. So before we get into that, do me a favor, make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. Simply helps these videos out a ton, and it's the best way to let me know you're enjoying the content. Thank you all very much for taking a second and doing so. Let's get into the last news item of the day here. The final news item we got to talk about today is the Red Sox dipping their toe into the first bit of the free agent pool, and it's exactly the way I said they were going to, which is starting to reach out to some of the free agents that are currently on this team, starting with Tyler O'Neill, who said after the game yesterday that Breslow had reached out to touch base and would like to talk to him about a potential return. Now, Tyler O'Neill said that he didn't really know what was going to come of free agency, but he did make it clear to Breslow his openness and interest in returning to Boston. Boston. Honestly, I don't really hate this idea. We did break it down in a separate video if you want to check that out about the potential return for Tyler O'Neill. And we do know that Craig Breslow has made it abundantly clear that a big portion of this offseason is going to be catered towards trying to balance out this lineup a bit more. Tyler O'Neill certainly does that. Now, there are two things that I want to take out of this quote. The first is that it still sounds like Tyler O'Neill wants to get to free agency. It doesn't sound like he's going to be super willing to sign a team-friendly-ish contract or extension before free agency hits. Now, I could be totally wrong, but him very specifically pointing out that he doesn't really know what's going to happen in free agency, to me, sounds more so like someone who wants to check out every option as opposed to someone who's comfortable enough here to not bother doing so. Obviously, Tyler O'Neill has absolutely earned that right, and he should check out other locations, but that's definitely something to pay attention to. The second thing I want to talk about is what this could mean for Boston. Now, I don't hate the idea of Tyler O'Neill coming back. I think overall he could be a pretty impactful player for the 2025 Red Sox. I think especially if you're able to use him in a role that's more catered towards a DH type as opposed to an everyday outfielder type, you could save him a lot of injury possibility. You could also utilize more athletic young players in the outfield, but the problem is you already have an injured Massa, right? The thing I always think of when I think of Tyler O'Neill is just simply how he's going to fit on this roster, and it doesn't make a ton of sense. However, honestly, if we look at any right-handed bat on the market right now, guys like Santander, guys like Teoscar Hernandez, Alex Bregman, Willy Adames, who may end up actually being more impactful right-handed bats, those guys don't entirely fit well on this roster either. It feels like any bat that they're going to bring in, they're going to have to make room for one way or the other. Now, I would say I hope the Red Sox actually look at all the options on the table here as opposed to just being like, well, Tyler O'Neill's the easy answer. He's not going to cost as much as some of these other guys. Let's just lock him up and then worry about the rest later, which again, not the worst idea in the world, but there could be better options out there. And I think this offseason, the Red Sox really need to figure out what the best route to a legitimately competitive team is. And I just don't know if that's going to include Tyler O'Neill or not, but I do think this is a good indication. It's a good indication the Red Sox are looking on the open market for a right-handed bat. Sounds like based off of this, they're looking for that right-handed bat to come via free agency as opposed to a trade, which could be really interesting. It could also mean that the trading market for them is more so going to be catered toward acquiring arms, whether that be bullpen arms or starting pitching arms, and that could be the main focus for the Sox trading wise. But overall, again, there's not really a ton to take out of this, just simply that the Red Sox are interested in bringing Tyler O'Neill back, which again, I'm sort of in the middle on. I wouldn't hate if it's on a team-friendly deal, but overpaying for O'Neill as opposed to going out and bringing in a Santander who has a ton of versatility, right? Or a Teoscar Hernandez who feels like a more impact bat, to me, doesn't make a ton of sense. So I'm kind of smack dab in the middle still on Tyler O'Neill, but overall, it's kind of sad that this is sort of the last news item video that we're going to get from the actual players themselves, because we're no longer going to get after game or before game reports, and that just kind of sucks. But I did want to take a second and say thank you. I wanted to thank every single one of you guys who tuned in this year, whether you watched one video or every single one of these videos. I appreciate it more than anything in the world. This season has been absolutely incredible. I've done things I never thought I was going to do, and it's all because of you guys. I can't believe I get to talk to all you guys every day about Red Sox baseball. It truly is a dream come true, and I can't wait to start breaking down this offseason with you guys and hopefully go into 2025 with playoff contention in our heads. But before we get to that, let me know in the comment section down below, what do you think about this? What do you think about Kenley, Massa, O'Neill? What do you think about all of it, and how do you think it affects the 2025 offseason? Let me know all your thoughts in the comment section down below. As always, if you made it to the end of this video, do me a favor, make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. It just simply helps it out a ton, and it's the best way to let me know you're enjoying the content. Don't forget, if you want to listen instead of watch these episodes, all you got to do is head over to your favorite podcasting app and look up Red Seat Radio. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one, and I will see you for the offseason and in the red seats.